record on this. And I'll read a couple more for our icebreakers. Francis Sala, Early Learning Multnomah. I graduated from Cleveland High School. Thank you, Francis. Well, great. We will continue to check out the chat for anywhere else and just getting to know each other a little bit better. But we will just go ahead and get right on into it. And we're going to hand it over to Dorothy and her team. I think I saw Jennifer join as well. And Dorothy, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be back. I have a presentation. I sent the slides out, updated slides to you all maybe an hour ago. So if you want to follow along in your own email, you can do that, but I will also share my screen. Okie dokie. So I'm here today to provide both an update for you on caseload, share a resource with you all, as well as talk to you a little bit about the family guide that we're working on. So I just wanted to start out with this very silly couple of slides that introduce our team. We used these as part of a coffee chat that we do with ODHS workers to give a sense of like who is on the child care assistance program team. We have a teammate, Meg, who really likes to do this kind of thing. And her question was like, what would be like a sport that you would want to be a professional at? Mine is obviously not very real because I know nothing about curling, but I just thought it was a funny picture. So hopefully this will bring a little bit of a smile to y'all's face. So on our child care assistance program team, we have Tara Valentin, who's a policy analyst, Joe Litke, who's our provider specialist, Regina Seifert's another policy analyst. I am the manager. Carrie Bauman, who is a policy analyst, Jen Eras, who's on the call today. She's our lead analyst, and then Meg and Nora, who are both policy analysts. ERDC covers a wide variety of work, and that's all of the different policy analysts have kind of specific areas of work that they focus on. You'll hear a little bit about Meg today in the work that she's doing with the provider guide, but just to give you a sense of who our team is. The next thing I just want to share is an update, like literally fresh off the presses update for our caseload for June. We received this data literally yesterday, so I had our data analyst put these together quickly and have this as part of a presentation. So our total caseload for ERDC is 16,687. As a reminder, when we look at that, it's those connected and not connected to a provider. So out of those 16,000 plus families, 12,509 are connected to a provider, 4,178 are not connected to a provider. I also wanted to touch on a waitlist update. The ERDC waitlist is still active. We have over 5,800 families on the waitlist at this point, and we have not invited anyone off of the waitlist. I know I've heard from a few folks of some statements like, oh, we're not sure how quickly the waitlist is moving. And I just want to be clear, we haven't invited any families off of the waitlist. So the only families who have been able to get services for ERDC are those that meet an exempt population. We are wanting to make sure that folks know they can still apply for ERDC, and ODHS staff, eligibility staff, should be continuing to review those applications for exemption criteria to determine if a family may bypass the wait list. And again, if families don't meet an exemption, they'll be denied and placed on the wait list. In terms of how you all can help, encourage families to keep their contact information up to date if they're added to the wait list. If they think they've had a change in circumstances or they've had a change in circumstances and they think they may now meet an exemption, please have them reach out to ODHS. I have a link here that I can also pop in the chat when I'm done that sends them to the information of how they can connect to ODHS. They can call, they can walk into an office. Are primary options for them to contact and update their statuses. Before I move into the next thing, are there any questions regarding our caseload or the wait list? Okay. Just keep plugging along. Okay. The next thing I just wanted to share with folks was that there are some new resources available from our partners at ODHS on the Oregon Eligibility Partnership YouTube page. There are a video of a how-to series videos on how to create a One online account using the Oregon One mobile app, how to upload documents to the One account, and where to find messages about your benefits in the One online account and the One Oregon mobile app. So if you are working with families who are applying for benefits, or you wind up fielding some questions that way, these are some resources that you can go ahead and share with families as well. And in the PowerPoint, there are links to those videos, both in English and Spanish, that are found on the YouTube. I will be perfectly honest, when I had to find the links and go to their YouTube page, it wasn't super intuitive. So that's why I tried to put them all in a way that you could quickly capture them and keep them yourself if you wanted to share those with families that you work with. Okay, now to kind of the bulk of what I wanted to talk to you all about, which is the ERDC Family Guide. So a little bit of background, ERDC used to have a parent guide. It was previously provided to families at branches when families expressed interest in ERDC or were approved for benefits. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see screenshots of kind of the table of contents, and you can see it was pretty extensive. The document shared information like how to find and connect with a provider, how to change providers, how they can use their childcare hours. It was last revised in 2013, and then the parent guide was retired in 2017. Jen, I know that you're on the webinar today. Is there anything that you want to share about the parent guide from your past experience, just for context for everyone?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Jen. Anna. It's actually been around in policy for quite some time. So I was on the policy team where we made the decision to discontinue the previous parent guide. The main reason that we decided to discontinue that was actually just because it was such a big guide. It was very heavy and had a little bit too much information in it. So it wasn't really all that usable. We found that a lot of times staff ended up handing out the provider guide anyway, just because they didn't want to hand them both a provider guide to give to their provider and a parent guide. But I think with some revision and this kind of new take on it, it should be a lot easier to navigate and find information on. And we've definitely just learned that there is still a need for it, but it needed to be revised and made much better. But definitely seeking input on essentially what kind of information you're finding that families are missing. So I think that'll be really good to see what some of our partners have to offer as far as the questions that they're fielding and the information that they see that families are missing.
Thanks, Jen. So we do have a work group that we've put together. We've had one initial meeting, and you can see the invites that have gone, that were part of that first meeting. The individuals that were at that first meeting or invited to the first meeting were a group of individuals that were also working on the Finding Quality Childcare work group that TRI was facilitating. So that was kind of the starting point. But we do want folks to know that the work group is truly open to anyone who wants to join. We do have a meeting coming up, and then Meg Ryan on my team is the contact if you or one of your staff or another partner you work with would like to join. We really want this to be a collaborative effort to make sure that it's that this new family guide is really reflective of the information that families need in order to be informed about ERDC and how to use it. So just wanted to share before we get into hearing from you all, some initial feedback that we've received about a new family guide, that it should be specific to ERDC. So while the old parent guide also included things about finding quality care, we know that now there are resources already available through TRI and WU. That's the Finding Quality Care Guide. And so we can reference that in the new family guide, but we don't need to replicate it. We also know that past guides were long and had too much information. So our goal is to keep the new one concise, cohesive, really have front and center a clear FAQ, and really paying attention to accessibility and reading level. And while it's not said in here, this would be a guide that would be translated in the in 5 languages, primarily in the 5 languages that Delk translates into, which are or it would be in English, Spanish, Russian, Vietnamese, and Chinese. And we are engaging with ODHS eligibility staff on what common questions they're getting to make sure that those things are addressed in the guide. And what we've heard so far about what to include is a quick guide on how to get started, information about what their options are in terms of finding a childcare provider, 211 and Find Childcare Oregon, clear information around if they want to use a family or friend or family member, what does that look like? How do they get them listed and approved to provide care? Clear information about provider types and what rates are for provider types. And then also some logistical information in terms of using multiple providers, co-pays, et cetera. And making sure that we're including inclusive partners information in there as well. So this is really a starting place for us. Again, we've had one work group meeting, but I would love to hear from you all if there's information you think is critical to have in an ERDC family guide that you don't see reflected in this slide or the previous slide, or if you have just general feedback as we're putting it together. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everyone.
Looks like Francis has a question.
Hi, Dorothy. How are you? So 2 things I was thinking about. Well, one is a statement and the other 2 is something else. So I've never seen that guide. I worked for the state of Oregon for 18 years. I don't know if that really existed at that period of time, but yeah, great. But the one thing I wanted to know is, are you going to send, so is this work group to work on the guide? Is that what this work group is about? Okay.
Yes.
Do you think maybe you want to maybe reach out to the R&Rs and ask if a provider be on that work group with you, right? Because they can bring some different perspective to that work. That's all I'm just saying. That I think to include them would make them feel like they're valued in this piece. So
yeah, and I apologize that I don't have off the top of my head who all wound up was invited, like specific names of folks from I don't know why there wasn't a provider on here. I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, I mean, again, it's open to anyone, and I'll make sure that the R&Rs have that information. So if they want to have a provider join, they 100% can.
Okay.
Thanks, Francis. I was thinking about you though when we started launching this. I was like, I wonder if Francis is familiar with this from the past.
You know, Molly retired. I don't have time. But I do have somebody in mind, so no worries.
Perfect.
Thank you. I'll send you the name to Meg.
Yeah. Other thoughts or feedback as we're working on this? Okay. We also have a form that we've shared for feedback with eligibility staff primarily, but you all are welcome to also use it. So if after today you're like, oh, it would be really great if the family guide included X, Y, or Z, I've just put the link to the form in the chat. You are welcome to give us feedback that way. The form is really designed for like eligibility staff, you all, we can share with the CCR and our directors as well. Just don't like share it broadly. We don't have the capacity to weed through like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. So we're going to be getting feedback in other ways as well. This is just kind of our first phase of making sure that we're including some key folks in getting feedback. Yes. And is Danny here? Yeah, I talked about this in a another update setting and was talking to Danny a little bit about their pack, and I think Meg was going to follow up with Danny about how to get some parent eyes on this as well, once we are at the kind of draft stage of getting some feedback there. Okay.
Great. Any other questions or comments for Dorothy? All right. Thank you so much, Dorothy, for coming and presenting. And I know she had to pivot from last month, so we really thank you, Dorothy, for just your flexibility. But we will keep continuing on. And as you have other questions, feel free to reach out. And with that, we are going to pass it over to David Mandel with just an update and a welcome for a new leadership member. Thank you, David.
I was going to say good morning, everybody. I'll try good afternoon instead. Good afternoon, everybody. Great to see everybody. I don't have too many policy updates at the moment. We're still sort of in conversation with the governor's office around the development of the agency requested budget. So more to come probably closer to the beginning of July on that front, when hopefully we'll have some more to share at that point. What I did want to also share with everyone that we're really excited to welcome Joel Metland starting next Monday to the team as the new Deputy Director of Programs. So he'll be joining as a key member of the leadership team, and his portfolio will include the program folks, the child care assistance policy team, social equity team, professional learning, the team that works with you and the R&Rs. And I think I'm probably forgetting one or two other teams that will also be working with him. He's joining us from Oregon Department of Human Services, where he was most recently working as the strategic projects director, including helping to put together their first strategic plan. He also just brings with him a wealth of government and state and actually nonprofit and as well as private sector experience, including working on setting up Oregon Saves. So we are really excited to be having. Oh, sorry, I forgot one also. The childcare licensing division will also be moving in part of that team, and that's really part of our effort to really make sure that there's greater integration in our work and really thinking about, you know, the alignment between licensing, professional learning, and programs, et cetera. So really excited to have Joel be joining the team.
Any questions around that for David?
David, hey, it's Francis. How long did Joel work for the Department of Human Services? I swear, I think I know the name, but I'm not sure.
The honest answer is I don't know the answer to that question. Okay. I know he's been there for a few years, but I know he's also worked in other branches of the state government. So I can't tell you exactly how long he's been at ODHS. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm no good at helping.
Any other questions? I think to be clear, yes, Nancy and I will be reporting to Joel. And another point that I think has come up and was in the email that Alyssa sent out was that Alyssa is going to be seeing out the process with Build as well. So that is something that she is committed to and will be seeing that process out as well. So I know that that is something that is likely top of mind for you all as directors, and ensuring that Alyssa will continue with that process as well. Great. Well, thank you, David. We appreciate you taking time to come here and give
my pleasure.
The directors, and we will move right along to our next agenda item. We are going to pass it over to Carla with some fiscal updates and reminders.
Great, thank you. Let's see if I can get this to work because it's always such a fail for me. So give me 1 second here. Can you see those slides?
Yes, it works.
Great. There we go. All right, so I just wanted to come in and give some quick updates, some reminders that I mentioned in May, just to make sure that everything's fresh on people's minds. So first thing, the next set of quarterly reports and claims for the period of April through June are due at the end of August. Feels like right around the corner and forever at the same time when we're in the middle of summer, but just wanted to throw that out there, end of August. And then to let you know as well, just a little bit of a shifting in the process. We're going to be having Maria and Nancy review the qualitative pieces of the quarterly report before I do the quantitative. So it might just look a little bit different where you're probably not going to get the approval as quickly from me when you send it, because we were going to just flip it the other way around and have them look at the qualitative pieces first, but definitely let us know if you have any questions on that, and we'll try to get that out to you. Get those claims approved as soon as possible. We are adding a new, hopefully easier way to ask for an extension on any of your deliverables. We added that as a Smartsheet option now, and I will share that with you once I'm done with the slide deck, because I cannot do that level of multitasking today. But I will show you where it is so you can see it easily. And then with the quarterly reports, just to make sure, as a reminder that you are filling both the quantitative and the qualitative fields on any tab that you are claiming for, just to make the process as streamlined as possible and it doesn't have to get sent back to you for adjustments. And when you're also submitting your quarterly reports, if you could submit a clean version of the report. What that means is that take a look at it before you submit it. If you sent notes to your business office or you put a bunch of stuff on the side of the report on the spreadsheet while you're kind of building it, just make sure to clean that up before you send that to us. Because anything that is on the report when you send in is subject to review by DELC. So you just want to double check and make sure that you're sending what you want us to see. And it just will streamline that process as well for you and for us to get those payments out the door quicker. And then just reminders on some upcoming due dates. If you haven't sent your signed amendment or have let us know that you have some sort of delay, because we know that a lot of people are out in the summer, especially at the ESDs, you want to get those to us ASAP. If you need a little bit of extra time, just let me know so I can keep track of it and so our procurement department isn't asking me why you haven't submitted it yet. The Birth Through 5 literacy funding plan Smartsheet is due 60 days from when you have your executed amendment back. You are more than welcome to do it ahead of time. You don't have to wait for the amendment to be executed to do your funding plan. So you can simultaneously do both things if you just want to get it out of the way, and let us know how you'll be spending those funds. And if you have any questions on that document, feel free to let me or Nancy or Maria know. We'd be more than happy to help. And then the last upcoming deliverable does have a slight due date change from the agreement. So your upcoming hub budget, instead of September 1st, will be October 1st. We know that a lot of governance councils and people are out, and it's just easier for everyone to have a little bit more wiggle room to get that in. So we went ahead and pushed it to October 1st. We will be asking that you submit it on the hub template, which would look really similar to the ones that you're currently doing for coordinated enrollment, just like your expenditure report, instead of you submitting a PDF version of your internal like iVisions report or whatnot. It'll just make it easier for our tracking and reporting if we all use the same template. That being said, I will send that to you sometime in the month of July. So you can get that back to us in the fall. And then as a reminder, and I'll probably bring it up again before it's due, but just make sure that you're letting us know any budget justifications, especially if there's a large shift in what you're planning on spending for a specific category. And just let us know what your FTE count is. We don't have a staffing plan on this current agreement as a deliverable. So if you could just let us know, hey, we have 1.0, 3.5, whatever your staffing FTE is, that would be really helpful when it comes to other people asking us for that information and just for future planning as well. And I will show you really quick this, the smart sheet, and then I will see if you guys have any questions. So on the smart sheet page that you guys all have access to, you would still fill it out like normal. I just used Blue Mountain as an example. So the usual information, but then now for the report type, there is an option for extension request for deliverable. And then when you click on that, it'll ask you what type of extension you're asking for. Is it for your quarterly report? Is it for a budget? Or is it for another deliverable in your agreement that might need an extension? And then let us know how much time you need. So you think it might take another 2 weeks from the due date or a month, whatever the case may be. Just give us a date on when you think you're going to get sent in by, and then just a quick reason as to why you need the extension, just so we're keeping track of those things. And then when you send that in, that'll go to Nancy and Maria and myself, and we can let you know that we received the request, and then we can track it. And on that, I will see if there's any questions. I see Begonia, your hand is up.
Carla, will this system allow us to, will the system save the date of when we said it will be due? And the system will send us reminders like, hey, Washington County have in 1 week is your due date. So is the system equipped with this kind of skills features?
So the system will put this information in the same place where your expenditure reports land, so I can see them. So I will see the date, and as regards to a system reminder, it'll be me. I'm the system. So I'll be keeping track, and then so let's say Begonia, you asked for a 2-week extension on something. The 2 weeks come, I see it, and I'll send you an email going, hey Begonia, it's 2 weeks. Can you let me know what it is? It's mostly for me not to bug you every other day going, hey, how long is it going to take? So just makes it easier for everybody. But I try to keep, there's only 16 of you guys in the Census Hub, so I try to keep it as personable as I can. I know some of the other programs have hundreds of grantees, but with 16 of you guys, I feel like it's a little bit easier for me to reach out individually as opposed to having the system send you a notice. Or else I wouldn't talk to anyone, and I love talking to people.
And I think this is also like where if you put in that narrative doesn't align with my governance council or something, we're going to be really looking at that information that is in that narrative to hopefully be able to guide our future due dates and things like that, so that we do want to hear from you. If this is not aligning with a date that works for your system, your governance council, we want to be able to know, hey, we're seeing a trend of a lot of extensions for budgets. That means it's likely something that we're doing. It's not aligning with the timelines that they need. So I think this is just kind of a way for us to be able to track it in one place versus Carla's email or my email or Nancy's email. We really want a place where we can track all of this together so that we can really make sure that we're aligned and getting the information that we need of, is there a reason there is a number of requests for a certain deliverable? That could be the date is not right on our end.
And it looks like I had some questions that popped up in the chat. Lisa, yes, it was the smart sheet. You were just such an eager beaver, and you filled out the draft version for me, so I had to have you redo it. But yeah, so you're good to go on that part. And then Shara, yes, I believe it was Nancy, might have sent an email out, and it had the link. It's a link to a smart sheet. and just fill that out. It's pretty much a bunch of drop boxes. You must do a bunch of selections and one little narrative box. But if you can't find it, let me know, and I'm more than happy to send it out to you again.
And we can include all of those documents in our follow-up email, which will probably be tomorrow. So yeah, we can make sure that everything is in one place.
All right. Any other questions for me? Great. As always, I appreciate you letting me ramble for a few minutes.
Thank you, Carla. Well, the rest of the time, we really just wanted to have a moment. I know that we had the office hours and we were able to share the frequently asked questions that came out, the funding plan, all of those documents, but we just wanted to see, did anyone have any other questions that were not answered via those? And I can drop them in the chat as well. Give me just a second. Nancy, anything else you want to add?
No, we're eager to hear all of your questions so we can keep adding to that frequently asked questions document that you can just share with your fiscal folks. And we can just have, again, everything all in one place. So looks like Maria just dropped it in the chat. Thanks, Maria.
I also dropped the draft of the expenditure plan, and so we would love for you to take a look at that and see as well. Did anyone have any questions, anything that's not feeling right? Or this, again, Carla did send it out, I think for just about everybody or everyone, the new template that has that embedded into there. So you will be just using that to submit it. But any questions that are coming up around any of this? And we'll give you a minute, like we can give you a minute to look at this, open up these documents, but just want to hold space for you guys to have questions, and hopefully we can have answers for you.
I'm sorry that I missed the webinar as I sent a staff member. I had a conflict that day. So I apologize if these questions are repetitive. But I imagine that there's a lot of my pieces for this are still in the planning process. While it's summer and things are going to probably be shooting for to be delivered the end of before next summer. Is this like we're responding as this is our intent? This is our best intent?
Correct. And I think that's where we were instructing individuals also that if you could use that space for other and say, we think we heard from a number of hubs who said, we have regional RFAs or RFPs that are going to be going out. So we don't know what that will look like. That is the context that we're looking for in this funding plan, where we can say, got it, Shira's still waiting to see who she's going to fund. And so I think those are the pieces that can be included in the narrative. And I can find the link as well for the funding plan so that you guys can look at that as well. But yes, Shira, to answer your question, absolutely. We understand that this is a plan and your intent and things can change. And then that we'll continue to have conversations during our monthly check-ins and say, how is that going? Any changes and things like that. But this would be your intent. And we're not necessarily asking for dollar figures in this, but just really just your overall plan to what you plan to use with this funding. Here is the link to the funding plan if you want to take a look as well and see if anything sticks out for you all. I think Nancy and I and Carla can stick around if you are clear. That is what we had the rest of this meeting dedicated to, so that if anybody did not make it to the office hours and wanted to give input on any of this, we are happy to stick around. But if you're feeling very clear and you are ready to go and this answered your questions, feel free to hop off. But we are here and happy to answer any questions that are coming up for you guys.
And I would say before you hop off, let's just wrap this up. And I just want to thank everybody for being here and hearing all of this. And we just want to, Marie and I have been doing a lot of connecting and thinking about these meetings and wanting to make sure that they're super productive for you, really relevant. And so we're going to start providing an exit survey during the meeting. It's not like one extra thing for you to do, but we'll just give you time during the meeting to complete it. So I'm just going to put it in. And this is just our chance to refine either the structure, the topics, anything that you'd like to hear or that you're wanting to see. And, oh, sorry, Begonia, I see that you've got your hand up.
Yeah, no, it's just a small question. So Maria, we submitted the form based on the yes/no questions or answers, right? But no explaining how we were intending to use the money because we didn't have that discussion yet. And so do we have to resubmit the form based on the latest information, or the one that you have is sufficient?
I have not had an opportunity to look at your recent funding plan.
Yeah,
So-
it was just yes/no. So there's
Yes, no. Okay.
Yeah.
I think if it was applicable, then, and if you did not have any that were just under the other, then that would be fine. Carla, I see your finger.
I'm double checking, yeah, because I'm loading it. It's just taking a little bit for Smartsheets to open for me. I think Begonia, you were one that submitted it when it was in draft version. So I do need you to resubmit it for me. You're another one of my eager beavers. So I just wanted to make sure. So if you can resubmit it, that would be excellent. But yes, I saw what you did in the draft version and that looked fine. It was just there was some formatting that wasn't done. So when I cleared it, it kind of destroyed it. So if you can resubmit, that'd be great.
And Lisa and Rod, I have received yours just to let you know, and I'll send a follow-up confirmation soon.
I just had a quick
Go
question.
ahead, Kara.
Sorry. When it says parent engagement, are you looking at like parents engaging with other parents, or tools and guidance to support parents engaging with their babies?
I think that they gave us a really broad bucket, Shira. So there's a lot of things that we could squeeze underneath that label without being
Okay,
specific
all right,
or
without
precise.
specifying it.
Let's
Okay,
take advantage of that broad,
Okay.
yeah.
thank you.
Yes, that would be, so if you click parent engagement activities and you say yes, then it does kind of group it into a couple other categories, such as identify cultural and linguistic needs in hub region, multilingual parent caregiver groups to collaborate in activity, strategy creation and development, or other. And so if you have other, then that's where you could fill out what you have planned for the other. That does not fall into those categories, but yes, we did leave it pretty broad to be able to capture whatever it is that you are looking to do with the funds.
And also just wanting to keep this plan really simple, since it's just 1 year funding, and just reduce the burden on the plan process. I think we have a good prompt or icebreaker for the next time. Who is a tortoise and who is the eager beaver? So we all fall into one or the other, I guess. Well, I think that's it. We'll just wrap up unless anyone has any other questions, give you all 45 minutes back. And thanks again for coming and for completing the exit survey. Appreciate you all.